Hello, mateys. This is Discovery Scouts in Pirates of the Caribbean film series. Simon Angels here. Today is the day on Thursday, April 13, 2023. And this are my best resident trios, Cornfields and Michael White. So we're just doing a walk into up there to the Fuji Hills to the shortcuts. But I used to sometimes about all I exactly could for about last 20 years ago, for about usually for about 17 years since Jesse, for about we were talking about Majugga Nuggets and December 2006. Might be one of those about her actions for about Ariel Hawani. This is guy for about like entire weeks ago, about entire days. I figure I'll just do that instead. Just notice about the right time for about we're just doing the working the fundamentals of Water SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Do it have to become as a WWE Tag Team Championships. That was an undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. That was elite. The trios that do have for about most of the entire weeks ago. So like things what I just said. I will figure out just like we said. I just definitely I understand that sometimes it's just make a notice. It's just wanted to take care of my lifetime. So basically, I used to for about motors for about 10 years ago. So I didn't make it for about cut the grass about 3 weeks ago. Probably it's not work. The motors is 10 years old. That was from 2013. Oh, it's much like to learn about like 20 years of this moment for about I've noticed a sense about could have been about the Bears. I never quit the Bears fans about a whole time about, and as soon as the Cubs comes in the nearby, do we think about I know this Cubs seasons for about since then about takes over about 8 months. About the season is over times. We can unfortunately this one's this summer's also about this week ago about as long as I want. Dude, that dude is the same looks like about next year's just things about 2024. Like my last day is about vlogs announcements, beach reviews, the enter of about June 2024. So I hope my last day is the last vlogs, announcements, speech reviews, and about entire opportunity in all times. Like sometimes it's just about the whole weeks ago for about usually for about the reason why we just have it to handle themselves about. We're just gonna have to make a questioning for about most desirable for about the former releases of WWE stars. Her real name is Amanda Sacramento. She was the one to sign in the ring name Mandy Rose. She was she'd been an employee and professional wrestler for about 7 long years. Since then from 2015. Then she was desirable about the single match with an entire opportunity. She is from the Absolution from the former WWE stars Paige, and joins in the known as about changes the ring name Saraya. She issued about Daria Baranana, known as Sonya Deville, as the Absolution disbanded nation. She was coming in for the main rosters for basically a use about 4 years. Fire desires for the tag team partner as Dua the whole time. Usually about from Monday Night Raw, then it could be Tuesday Night SmackDown Live, and become as the upgraders about Friday Night SmackDowns. So unfortunately, this is where the last day of the SmackDown Live as a USA as Tuesday SmackDown Live. So that it wasn't reasonable for whole possibility. So we thought it was supposed to be dead. So I'm not really sure. So I have to figure out what we noticed about where this dude out exactly could. We just do the about right thing, about the right time, about same like the Friday Night SmackDown is, of course they are of the draft came in took over about 4.5 years. Unusual speciality is this one's is programming and about most of the time of the year. So I usually might adapt it to about things to Wills for whole up in there for about up a time and about for nothing could be sure for about we change the whole timelines or about lots of things to do to my best. So things to know for about the whole screw people up, screw jobs. That was a Bret the Hitman Hart. That was been about that was just like 26 years and the screw jobs and WWF. And that's what I was capable of to be continued stories about Mandy Rose, storylines about the life of Mandy Rose and the WWE network. I used to separate it for about entire time since Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville was separated after the mysteriously hoodie guy for about after he cheated about Otis and Dolph Ziggler. Sonya talked to about Dolph Ziggler or his former partner Robert Roode. It seems Otis and Dolph wasn't a match without the fans and without the capacity. So basically, I used to do 2 hours quiet time. That was capable of. So Dolph matched up against Tucker for about much of this time as soon as a possibility. So Mandy and Sonya just separated. Mandy was walk out from the building for about. She was in the entire arena for about Fire Desires, and that could be Absolution. Ever decided for left to say to about for whole entire field of rivals. Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville's. Most of the time about most of the whole entire 5 months. Few cases to me, so I just put a lot of downs about entire interestings. Give me a second, guys. So and it's not much of an interesting for about I wish I'm not in the mood so right now. So what's the chance with it for about once in a few years, about 5 months since Mandy and Sonya were viewing each other's about Form Fire Desires, and the Golden Girl just called out Desire for Deville, and she always thinks about to be continuing, and besides Carmella wins over Mandy, and besides Money in the Bank qualified match. So she does have a matter for takes, whether half of the fans and 20 capacity is back. So due to the COVID pandemics. So I thought I did about much as soon as a possibility. So even like somehow it's just about near attractions, the same actions, since Mandy Rose goes through the SummerSlam from 3 years in 2020, and Sonya just able to be it about hair versus hair, or maybe it could be about once for the loser leaves. The loser leaves to leave WWE. Mandy just wins over, she stays here, and Sonya losses, she leaves WWE. She's time out to about vacations. Maybe I could do that about once at about a couple of hours ago. Like some things about exactly could for about Mandy's partner, which is about Dana Brooke. Her tag team partner was entire rosters. She goes back to the Raw as the main rosters. So she usually for about I used a couple things about 10 months ago. So I used to this tag team split up for about entire WrestleMania 37 through night 1 or 2. I usually don't want it to break anything in about a law about the time as so much as soon as possible. So continue stories about most things to do have about her tag team partners, so about entire tag team championships for the women's rosters, and like shows about to return to the NXT between those on Gigi Dolin and Jacy Jayne. I usually become as Toxic Attraction. Mandy's hair is changed to black was a demonic issue besides Sonya Deville's returns. So she's officially because so Mandy's decided to hold challenger of the former NXT Women's Champion, and then she was decided about Halloween Havoc of about 2021. I used to took over about 2 years ago. I used to have a time of periods about a whole things a lot about it is admissible things about you should therefore of as far as I am concerned about NXT Women's Tag Team Champions as Toxic Attractions, Gigi Dolin and Jacy Jayne knew that of the life of the Toxic Attraction and Mandy Rose. Things might could about NXT War Games, like last appearance for about 3 years from 2018, and Team Toxic Attraction, Gigi and Jacy, Mandy and Dakota Kai, then Team Raquel Gonzalez, Cora Jade, Io Shirai, and Kaylee Ray. That's all we have. Did this actions all have to do this of my the best things ever? So my entire storylines. So as far as I am concerned about my storylines, all I have needed most is do the right time for about last 25 minutes ago. So I have to put it down for about once in a while ago. So even that could be about New Year's Evil, and Mandy still retains as NXT Women's Champion all the time. And the Vengeance Days, Roadblock, Stand and Deliver last year ago, Heat Wave, all the pay-per-views already does. Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez as the new NXT Women's Champion from Toxic Attractions. Jacy and Gigi, where we can, and that's all we could. So Mandy still's in about for Toxic, for Attraction, for NXT Women's Champion all the time. So we stand to deliver. Sometimes it's just about the heat waves, just like about 6 months ago for Alba Fire and Mandy Rose for the last woman standing. Those beside us. So we do that about the whole purpose. So original timelines were about original the whole week ago for about last a couple of years ago. That's at any time as much as soon as possible for about worries about me. So we have to take a chance if something happens. So it's might take a chance for about last of it for about chance to about pay-per-views. So Mandy didn't show up for about 25 Iron Survivors as men and women's to be at about 25 limited. 25 limited for about 25 limited to survived. Eva Gracie Waller wins over about those 5 guys, and Roxanne Perez wins over about 5 women's. And then Roxanne Perez was finally challenger over against Mandy Rose. However, Mandy Rose was the last match of an NXT Women's Championship. So Roxanne just pins over against Mandy Rose. She is the new former NXT Women's Champion. Mandy was thinking for about an entire week ago. The Sonya's action for about to say goodbye to about Mandy Rose for serving the professional wrestlers for about 7 years. So Mandy walks out from NXT Universe Arena to say goodbye to she was certainly about indefinitely retires for about, she was a former WWE superstar, so she was about entire weeks ago for about, that was about entire the life of the Mandy Rose. Or about, I used to talk about all that as soon as possible for about we do care about in it interestingly. So sometimes it's just Mandy Rose to say goodbye to NXT of a Raw, the SmackDown rosters in the WWE. Even the Sonya Deville, Gigi Dolin, and the Jacy Jayne to say goodbye. So I usually we talked about Mandy for about we're able to the different wrestlers or returns. It's up to you about anyone to for all. Alright guys, so this is the end of the life of Mandy Rose today, about 7 long years. She was about employee for about Raw, the SmackDown, NXT, about 7 long years. So basically, she'd been about tough enough for about 2015. Then it could be about the last appearance of the shows about USA Network of Tuesday Night NXT. So make sure, don't forget to hit the button to subscribe for more content. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, go to Vine cameras, and Telegram, and TikToks, and Google Chats, and emails, and Yahoos, and wherever we can. Subscribe on AEW Dynamite, the Rampage, WWE, Raw, the SmackDown, and NXT, and the tribute of NXT UK, WCW, the ECW. So I believe the NXT Europe goes through about for this year. So I hope Mandy's is watching the reaction for about an entire week ago. So make sure you do have it about watch over about ads to the trailers to WrestleMania Backlash this May, and Queen of the Ring, King of Queen of the Ring, and this pay-per-view Saturday. So just want to make sure that don't forget. Alright guys, thank you so much for the comment, guys. Don't forget to hit the button to subscribe to more content, Twitter, Instagrams. Like I said, I did already. So subscribe on Ronda Rousey, baddest stream on the planet, and the Bella Twins, usually the Bell, known as the Garcia Twins. Brie and Nika just left WWE from Ambassadors. She's no longer to be a whole entire rosters of 16 years of the WWE. And however, Brie and Nicole was joining the AEW to see Bryan Danielson about the Blackpool Combat. So alright, thank you for coming in. Feel free to death, and feel free to watch. Don't forget to keep it rich, mateys.